Hearts have been broken in Houston today. Eligible families were expected to receive their first $500 installment payment today as part of the Uplift Harris County program. But a court intervened 45 damn minutes before the checks were to go out. Imagine that. Today, the Texas Supreme Court put a temporary hold on the program until it hears a case. Now, a lawsuit filed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton claims the payments are an illegal gift from the government. But Harris County Attorney Christian Menefee says Paxton's legal arguments are deeply flawed. The money for the Uplift Harris County program comes from federal COVID-19 funding. Remember all of those COVID checks many of you got from the feds during the break? Joining us to talk about it now is University of Houston downtown professor Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld. You know, we can talk about the COVID payments that many people got. We can talk about aid to families with dependent children, AFDC, or welfare. We could talk about EBT, food stamps, and none of that was blocked.
Right, and this is a very tricky situation. We know since the Death Star Bill 2127 that the state has been attempting to impose uniformity across numerous jurisdictions.
And for those who don't know what the Death Star Bill is, because that's Star Wars speak, I know.
Oh, you know. It's the idea that anything that is enacted by a municipal or local government body, City of Houston, Harris County, that the state says disunifies their uniform codes for development, growth, regulation, the state can blanketly shut it down. They're universally preempting things even before they've started. So we've seen this trend. So Christian Menefee's point as to the political aspects of it, very valid, at least in the elements of the state cracking down on municipal and local governments saying, hey, this is Texas, right? So unlike Beyonce's song, this is Texas, this is how we're gonna do it. And within that, though, there has been a uniform idea of non-gifts of public money to individuals or private funds. So no public gifts of private fund, or I should say public funds to private gifts. And within that, we've seen that conflict with a number of areas. And this even goes contrarily to state, our state attorney general, in the sense of what are some of the areas of his legal defense fund that maybe came from state dollars that were used in an individual's defense. So this is a weird area. It's very individualized, but what I think we're seeing is legally a trend-setting moment, which is we've seen programs like this in Austin, San Antonio. There is a difference between universal basic income and welfare payments. There's a difference in the recipient and in the sourcing. So as Christian Menefee mentioned, this is federal money. This was already intended to be dispersed, and there were 1,900 plus families anticipating this $500 payment. Commissioner Ellis, who's a former state senator, he knows the process better than anybody. He was trying to get those checks out. Nope, state Supreme Court stepped in.
45 minutes before they were supposed to go out.
Right. Said, nope, this isn't happening. But at the end of the day, we've seen this litigation in places. A lot of people say, oh, this hasn't been litigated before. It has. It's litigated in San Francisco. It's litigated in Portland, Oregon, various iterations. And so it's this continuous legal game of conservative individuals saying,
and
don't take my tax dollars.
And that's what I wanted to get to. About nuts and bolts here. Is this about politics? Conservatives saying, I just don't want this money going out like this?
I think it's twofold. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the root element is going to be political based on that Death Star bill, based on continuous trends of our state politicians saying, no, we don't want cities to become sanctuary cities. We don't want cities enacting policies that specially target, like San Francisco. There are 55 individuals who are trans individuals who are receiving funds. There are conservative groups who say, wait a second, this is my tax dollars. Why are these 55 individuals more deserving than the single mother, more deserving? So it does become a bit of a bias or a prejudice, again, a discriminatory aspect.
And what role does many conservatives not liking Lena Hidalgo as our county judge here, what role does that play in it?
I don't think she's being singled out in this case. And generally in this case, this is just the policy idea of taking tax dollars and saying, we're going to handpick based on an application process with no strings attached other than very general statements. Don't support terrorism with these funds. Don't buy illegal things. But otherwise, there's no stipulation that says it has to be used for healthy food. There's no stipulation that says it has to be used for transportation to work. There's no stipulation, and so forth.
In the last 10 seconds, do you think people will ever get these payments now? Or will it be tied up in court for a long time?
It's going to be tied up in the state Supreme Court, and the federal courts have to defer to state law. So at the end of the day, the state Supreme Court, and I think Christian Menifee has acknowledged this, his chances after that initial win in the Houston Appellate Court, I don't think his chances are looking good.
All right. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on The Factor tonight.